extra innings in the first game down to your last strike in the second game from the series being over in 2 to a really back and forth game 3 that could have went either way.
Welcome to episode 349 of Alberta Dugout Stories, the podcast. I'm Joe McFarland. With the summer college season wrapped up and national championships winding down, we are officially, unfortunately, in the slowdown. That said, still plenty of news to get to, so here we go. We'll start in Major League Baseball, where Edmonton's Eric Sabrowski has lowered his season ERA to 1. The AHP alum has made 19 appearances out of the bullpen for the Cleveland Guardians and has struck out 24 in 18 innings of work. Calgary's Michael Soroka is back throwing again after getting injured in his first start with the Chicago Cubs after being dealt from Washington at the trade deadline. The Cubs haven't circled a possible return date yet, but it seems like he's getting ready to at least begin rehabbing from his right shoulder strain. Former Okotoks Dogs outfielder Jacob Melton is back in the bigs with the Houston Astros. He's bounced back and forth with AAA Sugarland over the past couple of months. Melton is hitting .176 with 7 RBI and 4 stolen bases in 19 games for Houston. In the minors, Dogs alum Tristan Peters is back in AAA with the Durham Bulls after a crazy couple of weeks where he bounced back and forth with the Tampa Bay Rays. He did get into 4 big league games, but is still looking for his first hit. He's hitting .275 with 11 homers and 58 RBI on the season with the Bulls. Fellow Dogs grad Matt Lloyd continues to put together a solid season with the AAA Memphis Redbirds. He's been a steady presence at the plate and is now at .283 with 6 dingers and 43 RBI in 62 games this season. That includes 5 in the Florida Summer League. After a trio of solid outings with the AAA Buffalo Bisons, Vauxhall Academy grad Adam Macko had a slip-up last week against Lehigh Valley. He allowed 5 runs on 6 hits and 6 walks while striking out 7. The Stony Plain native is 1-8 on the campaign with a 5.61 ERA. Dogs product Gavin Logan is settling into his new home with the AA Amarillo Sod Poodles. He's also played in High A and AAA in Arizona's system this year. Overall, he's hitting .269 with 4 homers and 26 RBI in 49 games. Innisfail's Nathan Flewelling has had a really solid August with the single-A Charleston River Dogs. After struggling to get his average above 200 for most of the season, he's hitting .262 this month to raise his overall mark to .216. He also has 5 homers and 44 RBI with 7 stolen bases in 91 games. And Dogs Academy alum Eric Hartman is having his way on the base paths with the single-A Augusta Green Jackets. He has 46 stolen bases on the year to go along with a .250 average, 5 homers, and 41 RBI. That includes a .370 average in August alone. Let's head to the national championship scene now, and we'll start in Fort McMurray with the Baseball Canada 18U Championships last weekend. Congratulations to BC on winning gold with a 2-1 thriller over Ontario. The hometown Oil Giants took home bronze with a win over Manitoba, while Team Alberta finished 8th. Congratulations to the Calgary Cubs on taking home silver as the Alberta reps at Westerns in Winnipeg. At the Canada Summer Games in St. John's, it was BC edging Quebec 3-2 in the gold medal matchup. Saskatchewan finished with bronze, and Alberta finished 5th in the men's competition. The women have now taken center stage, and Alberta started the tournament off with a 16-6 win over BC on Wednesday, then handled Ontario with a 15-5 victory. They're also set to play Quebec and Newfoundland Labrador in the round robin before playoffs begin on Saturday. This is a busy weekend on the championship front with the 13U Nationals in Woodstock, Ontario, and the Ray Carter Cup for the 15U happening in Summerside, PEI. Alberta will be represented at both tournaments by Dogs Academy squads. Meantime, the men's nationals are set for Regina. We'll keep you updated on all 3 fronts on social and on next week's show. We'll also be previewing the senior men's tournament a little bit later on this episode. On that note, a tip of the cap to the Red Deer Riggers on claiming the Sunburst League Championship with a win over the Edmonton Cubs last weekend. The Riggers will represent Alberta at the 2026 Nationals in Chatham, New Brunswick. The full invite list for the Blue Jays Academy Canadian Future Showcase has been unveiled. Congratulations to all of the Alberta and Saskatchewan products who are set to head to Toronto in mid-September. We'll be aiming to get one invitee on the show each week heading in, starting with Dayne Liske in just a few minutes. The West Coast League has unveiled its all-WCL teams after Bellingham claimed the league championship over the Portland Pickles. The Edmonton Riverhawks were represented by Miles Chamberlain on the first team and Jason Green, Trent Lanahan, and Max Stagg on the second team. Honorable mentions went to Riley Barrett, as well as friends of the show, Reese Hemmerling and Kyle Yip. Let's turn our attention to the Western Canadian Baseball League now for our first guest. In case you missed it, we released a special edition of the show on Monday in the aftermath of the Regina Red Sox claiming the Harry Hallis Trophy with a thrilling 3-game series win over the Sylvan Lake Gulls. Regina-born catcher Brady Bai was named playoff MVP, and we have a bunch of news stories on both of our websites to recap all of the action. The end of the season also meant the finale of the weekly WCBL report that was hosted by myself and Clark Monroe over at IKS Media. For those who might have missed that show, we invited League President Kevin Kvame on to talk about the year that was and some of the hot-button topics heading into the offseason.
Kevin, thanks for joining us today. Of course, obviously the season is behind us now. The Regina Red Sox crowned champions, and we kind of talked about it in the first segment, Kevin, but against all odds, you might say. We'll start with the regular season and just the season as a whole, though. Let's start there, and just the pretty successful season overall. Obviously, some interesting things going on throughout the summer, but that always happens. But generally, the partners, the sponsors, I think it all went pretty well for you guys.
Yeah, no, it was another successful season for the league. Weather aside, we certainly had our share of issues with the weather that kept us moving and keeping umpires moving around the provinces and paying attention to what the latest forecast is with smoke and thunderstorms and such. But the teams and the facility people did an incredible job to get all the games in that we got in, and a great run in the playoffs. Some really dramatic games, including the championship series, was like riveting from start to finish. And you have to think that the sponsors and the fans are going to be thrilled with the season we just finished. So on to 2026.
Reflecting on that playoff run, Kevin, what stood out to you, especially from a Regina perspective, but even from a Sylvan Lake perspective? I mean, these two teams just put on an absolute dynamite show.
Yeah, the championship series was by far, outstanding as far as the playoffs went. Extra innings in the first game, down to your last strike in the second game from the series being over in 2. To a really back and forth game 3 that could have went either way, and even the final ball that was hit to center field was hit fairly well, and if it had been in a different spot in the outfield, would have dropped, and they might have won the game with a double in the gap. So that's how close this series was.
Yeah, and I guess it kind of leads into a really interesting discussion now, because obviously the big news kind of early on in the season was the Regina Red Sox new ownership group coming into next season. But what a way to kind of kick off an ownership with a championship that was a little unexpected, let's be honest. Not many people counted the Red Sox as maybe a favorite to win heading into the playoffs at least, and they were able to pull it off. But from your perspective as the league president, I mean, it must be pretty good timing, I'll say, for the ownership group to come in at this moment in time.
Do that, they have a pretty high bar to meet now.
Yeah, exactly.
That was my words to Al Simpson on Saturday night there in Sylvan. I whispered in his ear on the field there that kind of sets the bar pretty high for next year. But they've got to be thrilled coming into a environment like that. You're right, nobody saw it coming. I mean, the geniuses with the power rankings in the league didn't see it coming. I didn't see it coming. But maybe only the Regina Red Sox saw it coming. And kudos to them. And Rai Patakis, he was just very emotional on Saturday night. He'd been involved with the league. He went back to the previous iteration in Saskatoon for years, and he held that together for a couple of years by himself. And he was very disappointed when he had to to say that the Yellow Jackets could no longer be a partner in this league. They didn't have the support there, and so he ended up getting tied with the Red Sox for the last number of years, and just a very good story. He had to be in two places at once on Saturday night, and he chose the ball game over being inducted into the Saskatchewan Hall of Fame. So that was just telling in itself. So just great storylines as well to cap the season off. But that's the WCBL for you. Anybody can beat anybody on any given night.
Speaking of beating everybody, I got to say the Saskatoon Berries did a pretty good job of doing that through the course of the season, but couldn't replicate that in the playoffs, Kevin. And they were named the All-Star Game hosts for 2026. They've got a lot of momentum in the first couple of years there. How impressed are you with what they've been able to build in a short amount of time?
Well, I think they've shown a blueprint that is new to the league now, where your multi-sports franchises owned by the same organization can utilize resources in a very efficient fashion to make sure that all of your franchises within your organization get service to the level that they expected to get serviced by. And, talented staff, talented management, passionate ownership, all of that put right down to the coaching staffs that they put on the field, and their vision of Cairns Field, their vision of the berry patch and the utilizing of the berries name and such things has just been a home run from start to finish. And we can't wait to see the All-Star Game next year, as you mentioned, Joe. It's just going to be a baseball event not to be missed.
One thing I know that a lot of fans are curious about, Kevin, that throughout the summer it was kind of an ongoing thing, and me and Joe were just chatting about it before we started recording here today, but Energy City, the Cactus Rats. Obviously a lot of excitement coming into the year. There was a lot of optimism, especially talking to Pat Cassidy, a lot of optimism there that things were going to go well with the stadium and everything was going to get done in time for some games. Didn't quite go that way, but there was still a little bit of optimism. Again, talking to Pat Cassidy, very optimistic guy, going into next year. So can you give us a little bit of an update just from the league's perspective on where we all sit with Energy City going into at least the offseason to start with?
Well, I think suffice it to say we've got a number of the franchises in the league that would like to get some clear, straight answers from Pat and the organization there in Spruce Grove. Obviously, the stadium didn't get as far as he had hoped. It had a lot of work done on it. We just about played a game on it in July, but before rain hit again. The famous word all summer. But there was other little things that needed to be done as well to make sure that is playable for next year. Obviously, the city of Spruce Grove has, their regulators and their people that do development permits and that are going to make sure that the facility is going to be top notch and safe. Just hope that Pat can get her done here over the winter and put a product on the field that will be successful. I mean, he had the race for fourth place in the West was dramatic as well. I mean, and none of those teams are slouches. I'm telling you that straight up. Like the Fort McMurray and Brooks and Energy City was a race to the finish line right at the end, and there was some decisive games that happened, and Brooks walked into Fort McMurray's home there the second last week of the season, took 3 or 4 from there, and that was, I think, the telling thing that earned Brooks fourth spot in the league and cost probably Fort McMurray their opportunity to be in the playoffs this year, that series itself. So I think Energy City can be a successful team. They've got to have a home. That it was just stressful on all the teams in the league to deal with a traveling team that was hoping to open at home at some point, and they kept the dream there all season long, but it created a huge amount of problems on the back end, and we can't go through that again.
Speaking of problems in scheduling, you've alluded to it a couple of times. Mother Nature did her darned best to make sure that you were pulling your hair out at every night trying to figure out, okay, can we squeeze a game in here, there, everywhere? 30 plus is what I counted, cancellations, postponements, delays because of whether it be smoke or rain. Talk about the challenges first off.
That was
second,
wasn't it?
And then beyond that is, do you change? Does that change the conversation a little bit during the off season about, hey, do we need to make some changes or adjustments to our cancellation policies, as an example, or our postponement policies?
There may be a tweak here and there. It really isn't that difficult. It really is a simple process. We only had one incident in the league this year that really created some animosity over the cancellation or the play policy. And part of it is the rules of baseball, and you don't want to change the rules of baseball. And, I think there's going to have to be some discussions with the governors in the off season about, what they expect a field of play to look like when it's played on, what they really want to do with smoke. We set a certain standard that if the air quality goes above that rating, then we don't play the game until it comes down. And we had to postpone 2 games over that this year. So you got rain happening in one place, and you got the other venue getting smoked out. So it was challenging for sure. But I think you also have to look at it from a logical standpoint. And I had this conversation with one of the governors, is that, you may not see the smoke, the air quality, the particles in the air, and that are going to cause health issues. But if the air quality index tells you they're there, they're there. So do you really want to mess with people by having them out in that air quality and find out, 10, 15 years down the road that being out in that air quality caused them health issues? So there's those type of things that the rain and slipping on a wet field could hurt your ankle. But you can do that in, playing on a dry field. Hey, Clark.
Yeah, tell me about it. Nobody can see it, Kevin, but underneath this desk, I got a leg brace on.
That was not scripted. That just happened.
That was perfect. You nailed it. No, yeah, it can happen at any time, but like you said, you don't want to add to the chances of it happening. So, of course, there's all of that. I think, Kevin, with that in mind, I'm sure that there will be some spirited governors meetings over the offseason. But what are, for the league itself, for the WCBL, what are some things, maybe positive things, and some good things you're looking forward to talking about in the offseason going into next year? I know one thing, because I'm in Regina, one thing that's on our minds here is the ownership group gets finalized coming up shortly. It's a little bit in the future, but not too long, not too far in the distance. So I know that's one thing. Maybe you can talk on that first. But what are some of the other things as well that you guys are really looking forward to working on in the offseason?
Well, I really think that we want to button down our social media thing, policies and stuff throughout the league. I think all of the teams need to be on side with that. I think all the teams will be on side with that. So whether we're promoting the new ownership group in Regina and the dream of what's going to come of that with the Red Sox and facilities around the Red Sox in Regina over the coming years, which I hope is really positive news in the near future. To new franchises, I'm going to say Airdrie before Joe does, but they would be a welcome addition and continue to work on that. Or other locations around that, we'd like to, stay stable at 12 franchises. There is some work to do with some of the smaller franchises, and maybe there's some opportunities from what has happened to say, hey, let's tweak it a bit with ways to work with the smaller franchises so that if the major franchises or the ones that are drawing the bigger attendance right now want to do something that can be costly, maybe there's a way we share the burden for the ones that don't have the resources to do that. So I think a team effort on the governor's side is going to be a very much on the agenda for the off season as well. Continue to grow our corporate sponsorship is going to be prominent. We've got a good number already, but it needs to continue to grow. I think that the Flow Sports experiment was a big success this year with all the games being on Flow. I know I've talked to them even as late as a week ago, and they said our league had incredible numbers as far as the amount of time we were up during the year, not counting game one of the championship series, which was really unfortunate. But I guarantee you the Regina will have that fixed for next year. That was just an internet problem that happened at the stadium that night, and there was no immediate fix. So your live telecast of the TD game one was a bit distorted at times, I guess, or cutting in and out. So, but generally the Flow Sports experiment was wonderful. Lots of commercials, lots of opportunity to get more commercials on the broadcast. Some of the teams upped their game even more than what other ones did, and I think the opportunity to continue to showcase the league on webcasting is going to be a important thing. So there's never a shortage of work to do.
Yeah, All-Star game in Saskatoon next year. We mentioned that already, so that's an exciting one as well. Joe was big on this one, and I don't know, Joe, if you're going to ask this question or not before we end this, but the I can't say the word. Me and Joe were joking about this before, but the Rural Roots Classic. That was. It seemed like it went really, really well this year. Is that in the plans again for next year?
You weren't behind the scenes of it, but anyways, that's.
I was trying to make it all sound good. Yeah, it all went really, really well.
The presentation and the day of the game and everything, it was perfect. It was. You can't give Oyen enough credit for the work they did on that field, and it just looked magnificent for the game itself. The Gulls and Bulls put on quite a show that day. What was it, Joe? 31 runs or something in the end, or maybe more. I don't know. We lost track somewhere. But yeah, it was. It certainly was incredible to get that off the ground. And I'm excited to announce that we have named a chairperson for the Rural Roots Exploratory Committee. Akil Samuel from the Civil Neck Gulls is taking that role on, and we're going to fill that with some other members of the committee. We've drafted Joe McFarland to be on that committee.
Voluntold, I like it.
Breaking news.
Breaking news. There you go. No, we talked about that on Saturday in Sylvan Lake, and I was supposed to ask him, but I thought voluntold was a better way to go. All he does is talk about this stuff, so let's make him do some work.
Yep.
And come up with some communities around Alberta and Saskatchewan, including North Battleford, and see where we go and what kind of facilities and communities will embrace the idea and bring the WCBL to their communities for a day or night in 2026. So excited about that too. So good. Thanks for bringing that up.
For sure. Joe, do you want to ask anything else here before we let Kevin go?
I was just going to say one more for you, and then I'm done. I asked this of you after game 2 on the field. How impressed are you with the fan turnout this season? Because whether it's the playoffs, the regular season, yeah, there were rainouts. Yeah, the weather wasn't the best. We didn't see a lot of 30-degree temperatures, but man, they came out in droves all season long.
Yeah, we certainly have some great communities that have embraced the WCBL. is led by the Okotoks Dogs, and Siemens Stadium. When it was created, they've been a phenomenal partner in the league since 2007 when Siemens Stadium opened. Can you believe that? They're going to have their 20th year in Siemens Stadium next year. That's incredible in itself. It still looks like a new fancy new toy when you go there, and they keep adding to it. So, but then you add on the Saskatoon. I mentioned Rye Patakas in Saskatoon before, but they couldn't draw a squat in Saskatoon back in 2010 to 14, 200-300 people. And here come the Saskatoon Berries, and they're packing the same field. They've done a few upgrades in that with it, but just amazing amount of marketing and that they've done there. Sylvan, of course, is been great. Medicine Hat, since their renovation, has had a great show. And then Regina. So suddenly Regina is on fire as far as getting fans out, like record attendance in the the divisional final and the championship series. You can't say enough about them. And, the same thing happened in Moose Jaw the last couple of times the championship series ran through Moose Jaw. They packed that Ross Wells. And, the weird thing, I talked about Fort McMurray a little bit with their field. And, you go on Flow, and those seats are don't have a lot of people in them, sometimes right behind home plate. And Fort McMurray's telling me they had a great year this year. And it was all about their suites upstairs. Well, we don't see it on camera, the suites upstairs, and all the people having fun up there. So, I mean, even though you don't see it on there, they're even in Fort McMurray, they're really happy with where they're at. I think that some of the other clubs need to step it up and support their local teams, because it shows dividends what can happen when you get behind your team and they make a run, or they have events and put on a great show for the community and the kids, especially in the community.
Well, that's so good to hear that, generally across the league, things went really, really well this year, Kevin. So I'm going to, on behalf of everybody here and involved in the show, I'll say congrats to you. I know it's not all, I know you won't take a whole lot of credit for all of it, but I know you're a big part of it. So congrats, Kevin, on a great season, and appreciate you joining us here today.
Yeah, well, thanks to you guys for everything you did all year long. It was a brand new venture that we undertook, and I think the WCBL got a lot of coverage that they've never had before. And thanks to you guys at IKS, Alberta Dugout Stories, Saskatchewan Dugout Stories, that are partners with us and make us better because of your involvement. So thank you.
Well, appreciate it. We look forward to bringing it back and doing it all again in, what is it, Joe, 9 months, 10 months? We'll do it again. Thanks, Kevin, for joining us today.
You guys take care.
A tip of the cap as well to everyone behind the scenes at IKS Media for putting together awesome shows every week. If you haven't already, check them out on the WCBL's YouTube page. Next up, as mentioned, a ton of Alberta-born and trained products will be taking their talents to Toronto in just under a month's time for the annual Blue Jays Academy Canadian Future Showcase. The former T12 is a great way for young Canadian talent to get their way onto the radars of college and pro scouts. We'll be aiming to bring you conversations with some of the invitees heading into the showcase, and it all starts with Drayton Valley's Dayne Liske. He's had quite the journey so far, including with St. Albert Minor Baseball for a few years, and he's now plying the trade with Gull's Prep Squad. He also just represented Alberta at the Canada Summer Games.
Dayne, thanks so much for joining us here on the show.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Fresh off the Canada Summer Games, what was that experience like for you?
It was unreal. It was probably the best experience I've ever had, baseball-wise, and just in my life, really, with the boys and everything.
What set it apart from others in your eyes?
Just the tournament, and I knew, we were a good team, and it was just got to go somewhere new, and I knew how big of a tournament it was with all the other sports. It was just cool to represent Alberta.
I'm glad you answered that question that way, because I was curious, what other sports are you watching? This isn't a baseball-centric tournament by any stretch of imagination, right? You got all kinds of stuff. So is there anything you were kind of keeping an interest or a keen eye on?
Yeah, a bunch of us would go watch the basketball games because both our teams won gold and they were pretty good. So we'd go watch that. A couple would watch softball, and that's really it. We didn't go watch a whole bunch of other ones, but basketball mainly.
That's awesome. Looking at your own personal performance during that, how would you gauge it? What did you like about what you did, and what would you like to work on coming out of Canada Summer Games?
I think I did pretty good. I was happy with my performance and everything. I think I don't know what I really want to work on yet. I'll probably talk it over with my coach and then figure it out first. I'm not sure yet.
Mm-hmm. From a team perspective, what did you guys walk away from that tournament thinking? Were you guys happy with the performance? What did you think overall?
We were a little sad because when we were in that last game against Quebec, it ended in it was a good game both ways. It was nobody deserved to lose or win. It was kind of just close the whole time. So I don't know. It was pretty good. We held our heads high. We knew we fought well, but obviously we wanted better. But it still planned out.
For sure. On a personal note, you're getting applauded for the fact that all you do is hit, I think was the quote that I saw. Take us into your approach for a second here. What's made you so successful at the plate where you are getting some accolades and some flowers for your efforts?
Usually just try and get a fastball that's inner half of the zone. And I find when I get myself out, I'm just chasing pitches. So when I wait for my pitch, I find that's when I'm at my best, and I feel like I did that this weekend in the Summer Games.
Fantastic. It's been a busy summer for you. You've been playing it with Gull's prep team, for example, in Sylvan Lake. You even got into a couple of games with the WCBL team late in the summer there. What was that like as a high school guy getting to play with some of the big college players up there?
It was a really cool experience to see how everything works and how they play. You do learn a lot, even just from watching them. And just playing in front of the crowd was unreal. It was just packed every night, so it was a great experience for sure.
How cool is it to get to share it with some of your teammates too? I know I saw a picture of, I think, 4 of you guys getting a chance to suit up in the same game or at least be in the dugout and experience what the college life is kind of like.
It's awesome because at least we know someone when we go in there, when we walk in the locker room, we'll go together. So you don't really just feel singled out. You know you have somebody there to talk to and everything. Mm-hmm.
It's not over yet either. It's not like the summer's done and you're putting up your feet because you've been named to the Canadian Future Showcase. How excited are you for that?
I'm pumped. It's going to be a great experience, and I'm really excited for it.
Who are you leaning on right now, trying to get the inside scoop on what to expect out of those few days in Toronto?
I'm not really sure yet. I know lots of my friends have done it, and they've loved it every single time, so just trying to go there and have fun and take in the experience.
Mm-hmm. In a situation like that, obviously the big thing is putting yourself on some radar, showcasing your talent. How much of it, though, is about maybe being a sponge and learning from those around you? Because there's some pretty big names that are coaches or special guests, that kind of thing, and also some of the best players in the country.
Yeah, I think you learn from others when you watch them play, and you always want to perform, but you always take something away from it, even if you didn't do your best. I find you learn from others, so, yeah.
Do you have any expectations or goals for yourself going into something like that?
I think just perform. I'd try and be at my best, kind of how I did in Summer Games, and just try to showcase my talent for sure.
Fantastic stuff. Let's get into your baseball past here a little bit, Dayne. You're originally from Drayton Valley. You spent some time in St. Albert as well, and now you're in Sylvan Lake. But take us into the deep, deep history. How'd you get into baseball in the first place?
Well, my brother always played, and so with him playing, I played, and then I had to choose between hockey and baseball at one point, and I just knew baseball was probably going to be the best fit for me because my brother did the same, and I just kind of went from there. And my dad enjoyed watching baseball more than hockey too, so that helped.
Absolutely. Did you play other sports aside from hockey and baseball?
No, just those two. That's really what I stuck to.
Mm-hmm. When it came down to it and you had to make that choice, what kind of stood out to you for baseball?
I think I was more talented at baseball, and hockey was pretty intense, and I don't think I was going anywhere with it. So I think baseball, I just knew I could do something with it. And it'd be a lot more fun, I think, in my opinion.
You've had a lot of different experiences. You've had a lot of successes over the years. I'm curious, do you have a favorite one, like a favorite memory or moment where you just had to take that step back and go, oh man, this is pretty cool?
I think probably in the Ontario game in the Summer Games when I hit that double. It was, I don't know, gave us a lead after we were down the whole game, and it was just cool just seeing all the boys were pumped and the crowd was in it too. So it's probably the best game I've played. It was a great game both ways.
Very cool. Looking back on it, who's been maybe the most influential on you during your baseball journey?
Probably my brother. He was ahead of me, and I take a lot from him. He was good himself, and just, I don't know, he was a good player, and I could just take a lot from him.
That's awesome. On the flip side, we all know baseball's a game of failure. So is there maybe that one hurdle or that one challenge that you've had to overcome over the years that's, you're super proud of yourself for being able to do it?
Yeah, probably just trying to keep a good mindset when things aren't going your way. It's tough to do that a lot. Even now, like I don't keep it all the time, but when I do, I usually get out of it quicker than when I'm down on myself. So I think coming over that would be huge.
For sure. Looking forward, pull out the crystal ball for a second. Have you figured out where you want to go to school in the future? Have you figured out what kind of school or what kind of programs you want to be getting yourself into as you think about the next steps in your baseball journey?
Not really. I'm kind of really looking into everything. I'm open to all options, so whatever comes out of there, and I'll go from there, whatever I get. So I'm good with going wherever, really.
Fantastic. Hey, it's good to keep options open because you never know what might come down the pipe that changes the whole game plan. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
A few fun ones here for you before we let you go here. First off, what's your favorite ballpark food when you're there as a fan?
Probably some popcorn. I'd say popcorn and a drink would be the best.
What's the go-to drink that you have with that popcorn?
Probably a Fruitopia if they have it. If not, like a root beer or something.
All right. And are you a guy who's just like straight up butter and maybe a little bit of salt? Or I know some people like to throw on some like dill pickle or some of the fancy stuff now. Do you have like a go-to seasoning on the popcorn?
No, I just go butter and salt. I just keep it simple.
Nice and classic. I like it.
Yeah.
What's your go-to baseball movie?
Probably Moneyball. I really enjoy Moneyball. I think it's probably the best movie out there.
I like that one a lot. And finally, when you're on a bus or you're on a road trip, that kind of stuff, what are you usually doing? Are you the guy who's pulling pranks? Are you the guy who's got the earbuds in, watching movies, listening to music? Playing cards, playing games? What's your go-to road trip activity?
I usually just chill out. I don't really pull pranks or anything. I'll probably just sit there and talk and go on my phone. I try and stay social, but don't do too much.
Keep her low key. That's always a good idea. Awesome. Two more for you before we finally let you go here. First off, for those young kids who might be listening in and they want to play in the Canada Summer Games one day, or they want to maybe get themselves to the spot where you're at now, and they're looking to you and going, hey, what's that one piece of advice or those words of wisdom? What would you like to impart upon them?
Probably trust the process and know something's going to come out of it. When you always put in your effort, you'll usually get rewarded. So I'd say trust the process and just keep working.
Fantastic stuff. Final one for you. It's one we ask everybody. What does a game of baseball mean to you, Dayne?
Probably everything. It's really what I basically all do in my life right now. So it means a lot to me, and it helps me in many ways. So.
Well, it's been an absolute pleasure getting a chance to hear about your journey and get to talk about what's to come in your young baseball career, Dayne. Congratulations on all the success you've had at this point. Continued success with Canadian Future Showcase and beyond. And again, thanks so much for joining us here on the show.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
And we'll wrap things up by chatting with Nolan Dezotell, who's been putting in a ton of work ahead of this weekend's Senior Men's Nationals in Regina. The hometown Trappers are coming off back-to-back silver medals, so they're motivated to get the monkey off the back on home turf. Nolan, thanks so much for joining us here on the show.
Yeah, thanks, Joe. Appreciate it.
Men's Nationals in Regina almost here. How excited are you to get things going?
Yeah, excited, anxious, nervous, all of the feelings, but just very excited to get things going. Really looking forward to having everybody here and showcasing our city. So, excited to a really good work for it.
We'll talk about the planning and preparation piece in a second, but let's talk about the home team, the Regina Trappers. How do you think they're stacking up heading into Nationals?
We feel good. Like we're confident in the team that we have, but I mean, it's a hard tournament to get to Sunday. Nobody's here by accident. It's some really competitive ball. We've been successful the last 2 years in getting to the final and been kind of snake bitten by a tough Quebec team, but it wasn't easy to get there either year. So we're not looking at it as a guarantee. You can't take a game off or a pitch off or a bat off. It's really tough competition, and everybody, if you don't do things well, they can hurt you.
Mm-hmm. Looking back on those last 2 years, obviously there's that feeling of bitterness in your mouths, but was there any lessons that you guys were able to take away from those 2 years to make you better heading into this year?
Yes and no. Like, I mean, we were competitive in both of those finals, so we just didn't get timely hitting, and that's baseball. It's a funny sport that way. Like, if we would have played them 3 times, we might have won 2. We just ended up on the wrong side of things, and I mean, that's kind of why we all love the sport and hate it at the same time.
Mm-hmm. As you look at the rosters for the teams that are coming into your town, who's in your way? Who do you view as being like the big challenge, the one that you need to overcome to get yourselves to the top of the podium this time around?
I mean, in our pool, Nova Scotia is probably our biggest challenge. And that Thursday night game, there's no real secrets. It'll be 2 of the best pitchers in the country with Anthony McKinley and Cody Rock going against each other. It's nobody's hiding anything. Everybody knows. So
I see you guys have added a couple of extra bodies into the mix as well. A couple of guys that WCBL fans, for example, are familiar with as well, like Gavin Wischke and those kinds of players.
right.
Talk a little bit about being able to add some fresh faces and be able to keep having, you've got that wide age range kind of thing where you've got some guys in their 30s, but you also got some guys who are kind of fresh out of college and ready to do some damage for the hometown team.
Yeah, absolutely. You never know what you get when you're adding young kids, for sure. Some guys translate, or like some guys jump into senior baseball and it's a little bit of a, I don't want to say shock to them, but they don't always find success right away.
Mm-hmm.
But adding some young faces is definitely helpful. And Gavin Wischke is, I mean, it's an absolute pleasure to have him. So how that translates into senior ball, we're not sure, but I'm sure he'll be good.
Mm-hmm. Looking at that roster that you have, what do you think it's going to take to get to the top of the podium? What do you want to see out of them over the course of the next couple of days to make sure you're in a good place to get there for Sunday?
Yeah, it's pitching and defense, right? That's what wins baseball games, and then you got to get your timely hits. So it's getting hot at the right time. We feel like we have the roster to do it. We hit really, really well the last 2 years. But there's nothing to say that the bats don't go cold. But obviously, we're very hopeful that everything will fall in our way. But there's a lot of pressure being the host team too, right? It's like I said, there's nothing easy about it. There's the hometown crowd and a ton of pressure, and we expect this place to be packed every night.
I was going to ask about that pressure side and the hometown side. Like, it's one thing to do it when you're away, but now you got some amenities at your disposal. Everybody's getting home cooked meals, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
What's the message, I guess, to the guys as they go through this and try to navigate the train of being the hometown squad this time around?
Right. You know what? Honestly, they're men. I don't translate much of a message. They understand. They all get what's at stake. We've put in a ton of work to make this happen, and a lot goes on behind the scenes that they might not fully understand. But at the end of the day, we're just doing the best that we can so that they can show up, not have to worry about any of that background noise, and just play ball.
Let's talk about the background behind the scenes stuff for a second here. Who do you want to shout out here? This is an opportunity to maybe give some flowers to those who've really made a difference in making sure this thing goes off without a hitch.
I mean, the entire city of Regina has been awesome, but on our board, I can't thank our chair, Mark Bracken, enough. He's been absolutely fantastic and kind of keeps us in line when we kind of stray away. So he's very, very detail orientated, and we need that and respect that. And so from a volunteer side, Josh Miller, Jason Snyder, Aaron Christians, there's a lot of vowels in that name. Matt Miller, who's my right-hand man, it's been unreal. I couldn't do this without him. I actually came down with the flu yesterday, and they all kind of jumped in. So I'm sure it's a stress-related flu. My dad, Miles Dezotell, who's taking care of all of our transport and accommodations, and Daryl Keller, who's taking care of all of our field maintenance. I mean, the list goes on and on and on.
Mm-hmm. I find everyone, when they host events like this, kind of want to put their own little spin on things. Anything in particular that you want to Regina-ize for this tournament?
Nothing, but I think we're the first people ever to have our own beer. Show you that. So that's kind of cool.
Fantastic.
Men's National Trapper logo. So that's probably our little spin on things. Yeah. So it's weird that the Prairies guys make sure that they have their own beer, hey?
Not weird at all. I appreciate it greatly. I'm sure everybody visiting is going to think the same thing.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the unexpected curveballs or unexpected gifts that they might have received before they even arrived was the Air Canada strike. Talk about sort of navigating that. Luckily, everything's back to normal. Is everybody coming in? Walk us through what the last 48 or 72 hours has been like from your perspective.
Awful. It's just stress that a guy didn't need, right? But at the same time, but like something that we couldn't control. So I did my best with the three teams that were affected to help them in ways that I could. The biggest challenge was the Air Canada just wasn't canceling their flights, right? So if they canceled it and guys could navigate right away, then it would have been a lot less stressful. But I got to tip my cap to Jake back out of New Brunswick. Well, they actually play for PEI, but are under the New Brunswick umbrella. I mean, that I talked to him probably for 15 hours over the last 3 days under circumstances that I didn't want to, but I would rather just share a beer with him when he got here. And then Teddy Como out of Nova Scotia too, once again. I mean, they put in a lot of work to make this all happen, so we certainly appreciate that. And it sounds like everybody's going to get here, barring any sort of unforeseen circumstances. I think there's 2 teams that won't make it here for opening ceremonies, but that's not a big deal.
Absolutely. A couple more before we let you go here, Nolan. First off, obviously winning gold is key in everybody's eyes, but from an events perspective, how do you gauge success when you're able to finally take that, final breath and go, it's over?
Yeah. I mean, it's win or nothing for us. It's, we've been to the final the last 2 years, been snake bitten. I think anything less short of a win would be a disappointment. But at the end of the day, we're just super proud to bring this event to Regina. As many know, senior baseball out of Saskatchewan hasn't necessarily been a huge thing until we went in 2023. So just putting that together and making that all happen at the end of I'm looking forward to the weekend, and I'm excited for all the guys here.
For sure. Final question for you. We saw the Regina Red Sox take home the WCBL championship over this last weekend. Now it's your turn to take a shot at it. What would it mean to you to win a men's national title in your hometown in Regina?
It'd be awesome. I mean, 90% of our guys played for the Regina Red Sox. We got a guy before this year, we got a guy on our team, our catcher, who has the last 2 rings with them in 2011 and 2012, and in Chris Unschreiner. So it would be massive. And the Regina Red Sox have been so gracious to us as far as their venue and setup and allowing us to use everything that they have here. We couldn't have done what we're doing without them. I'm sitting in their beer shack right now, and it's a sauna, but they've Gary Brotzel and team have been more than gracious, and we're super proud of them for making it happen. They were probably more of an underdog than we are.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's looking forward to a great weekend in store in Regina. Nolan, really
Yeah.
appreciate it. Congrats on getting this far. Best of luck in Nationals, and best
Yeah.
of luck with hosting the event. And thanks so much for joining us here on the show.
Thanks, Joe. Appreciate you. And if you have any questions or need anything, I'm just a phone call or text away.
That'll do it for this week's show. Thanks again to Kevin Kvame, Dayne Liske, and Nolan Dezotell for joining us this week. And thanks to all of you for downloading and listening. If you like this or any other episode, make sure to leave us a rating and review, as those actions help spread the word about the show and ADS. A tip of the cap as well to our Platinum supporters, the Okotoks Dogs, Under the Light Sports and Entertainment, and the Western Canadian Baseball League for their continued generosity in helping us tell the game stories in our province. Their sponsorships help us cover costs like travel, web hosting fees, swag, and online newspaper subscriptions. For more on them or to join our roster, head to albertadugoutstories.com/supporters. Until next time, thank you for all of your support online, on social, and on air of Alberta Dugout Stories.